Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is the Against the Ropes podcast. Gio Garcia here alongside Christian Mosqueda. Another big week in boxing, Chris. Almost at the
Yeah,
12th round.
another big week, Gio. We had boxing, we had YouTube boxing. Man, let's get to it, man. Let's start with the real boxing, the return of your boy, the return of Ukraine's finest, man, Lomachenko taking on Jermaine Ortiz, man. I gotta ask you, Gio, what are your thoughts on his return bout?
Championship rounds, man. Championship rounds. We're at the 11th month, man. Championship round for us. And if you want to know the definition of that, watch a Lomachenko fight. He knew he had to win those last rounds. I know on the scorecards, they were very wide. I think people always fall into that trap of scoring rounds for the underdog, for the overachiever. I personally thought Lomachenko won at least 5 of the last 6. So I didn't have it as close as, of course, the commentators. They're always off. And a lot of people thought it was a little too wide. I think there was a 117 scorecard for Lomachenko. I think there was a 116 and a 115. I think he won at least 8 rounds. I don't score it, but he won at least that whole second half. He probably lost one somewhere in between there. So, and then the first half was highly contested. Jermaine Ortiz, tougher opponent than I thought. He definitely overachieved, but didn't show us much in that last half. I know a lot of people, like I said, scored a lot of rounds for him because he was overachieving. But at the end of the day, I think it was a clear win for Loma. Of course, Devin Haney hopped into the ring after, as you can see there on the picture. Loma kind of admitted there that he would need more preparation for his fight. That's one of the things that Usyk said as well, with the whole war going on in the Ukraine, and training is different. The mental state is different. So not sure if Loma was too excited about this fight to begin with, but at the end of the day, he got the W. Didn't always look like the old or the young Loma, you can say. But it was enough to win. I think I would rate his performance probably like at a 7, and I think he ended the fight very well.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree. I think this fight was very close up until like the 7th, 8th round. I think Jermaine Ortiz did a great job of studying film. Where Loma fought Theo, where Loma fought you know his first loss against Salido. I think he was trying to make it very physical. He made it physical, very competitive in my opinion up until the 7th, 8th round. But then, like you said, Loma was able to kind of just take over the final 4 to 5 rounds, and it was all Loma, and that's what separated himself. I also agree. I scored it 8-4. Again, this is not an 8-round fight. This is a 12-round fight. Loma, even at 34 years of age, was able to show, towards the end why he's elite level. But again, props to Jermaine. Again, watching that fight, the first round, you were like, this is a competitive fight. Oh, shoot, is Loma going to get old overnight? Is he going to have trouble with another physical guy, a bigger guy? But, Vasily finds a way. And so I'm very intrigued to see what's next, whether it's Devin, whether it's, a rematch with Theo. I'm not sure. Theo says like he's open to it if the money's right. But yeah, man, it was a treat to see Vasily back in that ring once again.
Yeah, and it still shocks me how much size he's given up, man, to all these guys, all his opponents. Essentially, they're much bigger than him, but he finds a way. Ortiz, as they repeatedly mentioned on telecast, was a sparring partner for Lomachenko. He did have a big size advantage, reach, the youth. Obviously, he looked really good at times. But yeah, he obviously didn't do enough to win, especially in that whole second half. Kind of ran out of gas a little bit, but he's definitely going to get a call back. I'm sure we're going to see him again on ESPN or Top Rank cards or anywhere else, really, because he was a young and undefeated fighter, and I think his stock rose a little bit. It didn't fall for certain. So yeah, we'll see what's next for Loma. It seems like it's going to be the Devin Haney fight. Let's see if Loma will want another fight before that. to kind of prepare, get back in rhythm. He was out of the ring for a bit. Um, Mentally, we got to see, where he's at, what continues to happen in the Ukraine. Doesn't seem like anything is getting resolved over there, but yeah, happy to see him back. Kind of surprised that he came back this early, quote unquote, because he did turn down that fight to fight for all the belts, and I think that would have been an easy win for Lomachenko, an easy road to undisputed, defeating George Kambosos. But things happen. He had to take another fight, take some time off, take another fight, and now challenge. Devin Haney. Hopefully, we get it next. I think that's the best for Loma, even though he probably was a little rusty, but he is getting older, 34, 35 years old. So I think if it happens, it has to happen now, or we won't see the best fight possible between those two. But yeah, nonetheless, good win for Loma. Still one of the top pound for pound fighters in the world. Some crazy people out there still dispute that, but yeah, he did what Loma does, and he showed flashes of the Matrix, and obviously brought out a lot of people out to the arena, and you hear the Loma chants, and you hear the excitement, and he's a different type of fighter, so people will give it up to him, and it's always good for boxing when Lomachenko fights.
Yeah. Let's say that prime Lomachenko Loma was an, let's give it a grade of A+. If he was an A+ fighter then, where do you rate him now, Gio? Like, how far removed is he from his prime?
I think that's a difficult question because he's not fighting in his weight class, right? So it's kind of like when you rate Canelo at 175, do you rate him the same? He's given up such a huge size advantage. I think at 135, if he was an A+ at 126, 130, I think at 135 he's B+. Because obviously he's way more talented than all these guys, right? But that size advantage is what a lot of times kind of evens out the playing field. It did with Teofimo Lopez. You saw the whole second half of the fight, how he was able to dominate Teofimo. But Teofimo was always in the fight because of that size, especially that whole first half. Lomachenko had to respect that. And in the lighter divisions, when he was making people quit, now he's hitting bigger bodies, taller guys, stronger guys, heavier guys. So it's a lot different, and it's very interesting. Not sure I like Lomachenko at 135. He gives a way too much size advantage there, but he's still one of the top 2, top 3 guys in that division. I'd say top 2 easily.
Yeah, no, the size difference for with Jermaine was evident. You only think if Jermaine Ortiz had more power, it would have posed even more trouble in the early rounds for Lomachenko. Having said this, Gio, yeah, I know you said some names, Devin Haney, what makes sense for Loma to go right after? Does it need a tune-up? Does he go straight for Devin? Does he try to entice Dale? What would you do if you were his manager?
Tell him to go back down and wait. There, it's just crazy because there's some big fights that can happen too, like a fight with Navarrete. Yeah. ESPN top rank, that would sell a lot of tickets. A fight with Leo Santa Cruz will still sell a lot of tickets. There's a lot of names out there that he can fight and sell tickets and get paid a lot and still garner that attention. But it seems like he wants the belts at 35. So,
yeah,
that's what he wants. I think at 126, 130, I think he dominates those divisions. 135 is a little more difficult, man.
Yeah. So you would advise not to take Devin Haney? Devin Haney isn't the biggest puncher. He is very skilled, probably one of the best jabs, but do you advise against that? Taking a Devin Haney next?
I think, well, like I said, if there's a time, you got to do it now. He's not getting any younger. You guys saw there the picture, Devin Haney and Lomachenko. Lomachenko said, is this guy lightweight? Looks like a heavyweight, right? He's much bigger than Lomachenko, but if he's going to go for it, he has to, I think, go for it now. He's not getting any younger, so I think how we've seen Devin Haney be bothered. We've seen him hurt, but we haven't really seen him against any top opponent. So I think he's a very, very good fighter. And I think it's an interesting fight with Lomachenko. But um, yeah, it's 135 is definitely not a weight class that Loma should be at. Maybe 20 years ago, but nowadays everyone's a weight bully, man. Everybody drains themselves to make that weight and
Yeah.
get a big advantage. Um, Guys Lomachenko's size are fighting at 122, realistically.
Yeah. With Devin Haney, his last fight against Campos was, I personally thought like he looked very, very like barely making that weight limit. And obviously you rehydrate, you put on 10, 12, 13 pounds. It would be a huge advantage for Devin Haney. I still would favor Lomachenko slightly in that fight, even at 34 years of age.
Wow.
Devin Haney, you wouldn't where would you rate that fight? Where 55, 45, 50, 50, 45, 55? What would you favor that fight?
I'd say 50-50. I think Lomachenko is a much better fighter. He has more tools, offensively, defensively. But I think just the style of Haney is very difficult. This guy throws no power punches. He's just going to jab all day. And that reach advantage is going to be an issue. Ortiz, it was an issue, like Big Bro says right here. He says Loma was a little rusty, and the matchup was better than expected. It was a difficult matchup. So, if Haney can use that reach, he's going to jab all day. So, we'll see if Loma can solve that puzzle. I still think the Teofimo matchup was a little more difficult because of Teofimo's power. But yeah, right now I'd have to say 50-50. And that's only because of the size difference and because Loma was a little rusty.
Yeah, and you mentioned you favor obviously Lomachenko in the natural weight class, 126, 130. One guy that's also called him out other than Devin Haney has been Shakur Stevenson, and we'll talk a little bit about Shakur a little bit later. But if you had to put him with either of these two guys, who would you favor? Who do you think is a more difficult style for Lomachenko, a Shakur or a Devin Haney?
I think Shakur is a better fighter, but I'm going to say Devin just because he's bigger. He's bigger, so. But I think Shakur is a better fighter, and I think at the end of the day, he's going to end up with a better career, possibly than Devin Haney, and more accomplishments and all that. But yeah, I think the size difference is, to me, I keep repeating it, it's a big difference maker between Loma and these other guys.
Yeah. And one of the final questions, Gio, Loma is 34 years of age. How longer do you advise him to continue fighting?
Well, he's still quote unquote young. Less than 20 fights, I believe, or what is it? 20 fights now, I think, professional fights at least. Long amateur career. Like I keep saying, it's just 135. That's the issue. That's the issue for him.
Yeah.
If he was in lighter weight classes, I think he could fight for 4 or 5 more years easily. But fighting these bigger, stronger dudes, man, it's difficult.
Yeah. You're like, look at Nonito. Nonito's fighting to his 40s.
He went
in the lower divisions. Yeah.
Guess what he did? He dropped down in weight. He was smart.
Yeah.
Big Bro says Loma 65-35. Haney don't have power to keep him at bay, like Dale did for many rounds.
Yeah. Surprisingly, I'm gonna side with you, Gio. I'm not gonna side with Big Bro. I think it's a closer fight than that 60. What do you say? 65-35?
Yeah. Loma's a better fighter. I don't think there's any question about that. It's just, it's more difficult. Canelo's a better fighter than Bivol. He's just a lot smaller, Sometimes when there's two really good fighters, that size difference. And we'll talk about it with Zurdo and Bivol in a little bit. But, Bivol did what he had to against Canelo. Will Haney be smart enough to do something similar against Loma? That's to be seen.
Yeah. For me, as of last year, I had this one maybe 55-45 in favor of Loma. Right now, I'm closer to you, 50-50. If it goes next year, I'm gonna favor Devin next year. So like you said, it has to happen, the sooner the better for Lomachenko. Father Time forgives nobody, including the great Vasily Lomachenko. So if he wants to get him, he has to catch him now.
Yeah, and I think we can move on unless you have anything to add on that undercard. I know Nico Ali Walsh was on there.
Yeah, no, not much to add. I just know there's a lot of Olympians, that they were trying to,
Richard
promote.
Torres.
Yeah, a bunch of Olympians, and yeah, man. Again, this is where they grow. They're on a good platform. We'll see what they got. Of course, this is the growing ranks. We'll see what happens, man. Again, those guys are all on route to slowly take over. But of course, the fights are just gonna get tougher for them.
Robesi Ramirez, we gotta highlight that one. Robesi, I'm liking him more and more. At first, when he came out, I was a little iffy about him. He's growing on me, and they're saying now he's gonna fight for a vacant belt against Isaac Dukbo. So that's a very interesting fight. He looked good at times, really good at times. He got the stoppage, but I think now he's stepping up in competition, and that's gonna be an interesting fight. Ultimately, Navarrete is moving up, it seems like, so they're gonna fight for that vacant belt. So Robesi is definitely a guy to keep your eye on.
Yeah, no, like you said, Robesi was a double gold Olympian.
Yep, for Cuba.
Struggled to in his first fight, right, tasting defeat. Shook him up a bit, but he's adapting good to the pro game now, and he's catching up, man. He's catching up, of course. I know he was scheduled to fight who was it? Was it Jesse Magdaleno?
Yes.
I was a little bit surprised with that opponent. I'm like, okay, let's see what Robesi's got. That fell through for whatever reason. Robesi's still moving forward, gets this W. I would like to see if they can have that fight. Whatever reason that it didn't happen. Hopefully they can bring it back in 2023, and I would love to see where Robesi's at. In the pro ranks, the development in the pro ranks.
Yes, sir. And I think concluding with that, I think it's a good time to move on. Of course, big fight this weekend. Chris, Dimitri Bivol, 20-0, 11 knockouts. Of course, his last fight was his biggest win against Saul Canelo Alvarez. Again, going up against now Gilberto El Zurdo Ramirez, who's now 175, 44-0, 30 knockouts. We still haven't seen that marquee win by him, that marquee matchup. You guys see it there. Zurdo looking big, man, physically. I think it's just going to be a different fight from the Canelo fight. Bivol's now fighting a southpaw, bigger guy. This fight is happening in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. So I think over here on the West Coast, it should begin around 4 p.m. is what I'm reading. The main event. So catch that undercard. I'm sure it's going to start around noon, 1 p.m. On the zone. So very interesting matchup here. One of the ones that we were looking forward to.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are favoring Bivol for what he's done away from the lights, for what he did to Canelo, in front of the lights. People know that he's very disciplined. He rarely makes mistakes. He sticks to the game plan. Doesn't let the crowd get in it. Very, very, very disciplined boxer. But I believe people are underestimating Zurdo a little bit. Zurdo is undefeated. Yes, like you say, he doesn't have that marquee win, but an undefeated fighter is an undefeated fighter. And I believe Zurdo is a much better fighter going up in weight than he was at 168. I think, like you mentioned, the physical presence that Bivol imposed on Canelo, Zurdo can do it to him. We'll see how Bivol adjusts, and we'll see if he is an elite fighter. I know people talk about the pound-for-pound rankings. This one can boost his rankings, his stock. And man, I can't wait for this one, bro.
Are you talking about Zurdo being an elite fighter? Or Dimitri?
No, Bivol.
Well, we know he's elite. He beat the number one boxer in the world. So I don't think there's any question about that. The question is, can Ramirez be elite. He hasn't faced an elite opponent. He hasn't proven that he's an elite fighter. Um, he's not the number one guy in his division. I don't think he ever has been at 168 or 75. So um, let's see if Bivol can expose those weaknesses. The slow Ramirez, slow feet, slow hands, um, not the best defense, but the matchup is still very intriguing. Like we said, Bivol now going up against a much bigger guy. Zurdo is probably 6 inches taller than Canelo. Probably going to be 20, 30 pounds heavier than Canelo. Southpaw. He can pose some threats. I'm still sticking with my prediction. I think Bivol wins, and I will be very shocked if Zurdo can hurt Bivol. And I'll be shocked if he can win anywhere close to 5 rounds, honestly, Gilberto Ramirez. And I like him. I think he's a good fighter. I think at times he has been very underrated. But look, when you have 44 wins, and I'm sure myself and most people listening to this struggle to name 3-4 fighters that he has beaten. I mean, that says a lot. So I think Bivol, since the beginning of his career, has been facing decent opposition. I think he has 2 very good wins. Obviously, the Canelo win, and then the one against champion Joe Smith Jr. He actually got rocked in that fight. Anytime you fight against a guy with that much power, it's going to be a dangerous fight. And he made it look easy, really, against Joe Smith. So I think those 2 wins is why I think Bivol is going to win at least 8 rounds against Ramirez.
Yeah, I believe that Joe Smith Jr. fight tells us a lot about, just how good Bivol is. Like I mentioned, he rarely makes a mistake. In that fight, he probably fought 11 perfect rounds, and he made a mistake in one round where he got caught with something big. But he got a little lucky that it happened at the end of the round.
Yeah.
But that just shows you that, he's able to, he's got a great chin. He can get touched in that chin, he gets hurt, but he's able to recover. So it almost feels like, in my opinion, Bivol's going to win, on points. And it might frustrate Zurdo. Zurdo might have to, go for broke at moments. And if he does get lucky, he might catch Bivol. But Bivol, again, like I mentioned, he's able to, recover, and he's very composed. So, man, it's going to be a tough fight for Zurdo. But I rate him a little bit higher than Joe Smith Jr. So if anybody's going to give Bivol problems, it's going to be Zurdo.
This is the fight I've been waiting for all year, says Ruben. But yeah, hey, I agree with you. I think that Joshua Usyk and this one is definitely up there. Big Bro says Bivol wins unanimous, 11-1. I give Zurdo 1 round that Bivol takes off. So that 1 round that he rests. I wouldn't be surprised. Look, Zurdo in the past kind of had struggled to stop his opponents. He's actually on a very good KO streak right now, but you guys let me know if you guys have heard of any of these names. You might have heard of maybe one, but he KO'd last time out in May of this year. He KO'd Dominic Bozo. Before that, he KO'd in December of 21, Yunieski Gonzalez. He knocked out Sullivan Barrera. He knocked out Alfonso Lopez and Tommy Carpensy.
Yeah.
All right, so we haven't heard, obviously, of really any of these guys except for Sullivan Barrera. And it says a lot, like I said, when you have 40-plus wins and you're fighting guys we've never heard of. I do think Zurdo is a very good fighter, but I'm not sure he's ready for an elite guy like Dimitri Bivol or a guy like Artur Beterbiev or a guy like Canelo. I know he's been talking a lot about facing those guys. He's saying after Bivol, he wants Arthur or Canelo, and a lot of people have mixed reactions to that. You guys can check out the interviews on our channel. Go subscribe if you haven't subscribed. But yeah, if you look at the comments, half the people are saying, Zurdo, you're talking too much. You got to take care of business first. And the other half are like, Zurdo, yes, that's our champion. Not like Canelo, who's a fake champion, which is ironic, right? Because Zurdo hasn't really faced anyone, but um, he is receiving a lot of support. Um, but honestly, to me, with all the talking, not sure that he's um, taking Bivol as serious as he should.
Yeah.
I think Bivol right now is one of the top 10 fighters in the world. He proved it against Canelo, and it's not going to be easy at all.
Yeah. A question was posed to Zurdo when they asked him who's a tougher sparring partner, David Benavidez or Bivol, and he answered Benavidez. What were your thoughts on that, Joe, when you heard that response from Zurdo?
For which one? Sorry, I was reading the comments.
Zurdo was posed the question. He sparred with Benavidez and Bivol before, and they asked him who's a tougher sparring, and he responded with Benavidez.
Well, they're friends.
Yeah, Benavidez, David Benavidez. What were your thoughts on that when you heard that?
Well, they're friends.
Yeah, so they're friends. He's got to say that.
Yeah, and I've been hearing like Benavidez work both of them in sparring, but it's sparring. It's practice. It's not the real game. We're talking about practice.
We're talking about practice.
Yeah, so that doesn't mean much to me. And he let's put everything in context too. What he said after that was Benavidez has more of an aggressive style, right? Whereas Bivol tries to, box and work, and it's not surprising that he said that. I mean, a guy like Benavidez is gonna come at you, right, 100 miles per hour. A guy like Bivol, I'm sure in sparring is it's similar to how he fights, more calculated, trying to beat you by points and not necessarily knock you out. So that doesn't tell me much, honestly. And they're good friends. Benavidez has said he's good friends with Zurdo, and Zurdo has said he's good friends with Benavidez. So.
Yeah. Do you feel like this fight will play out the way Joshua played out, Gio, with Usyk being the much better boxer and Joshua obviously the bigger physical fighter? And do you feel like Zurdo Ramirez has to knock him down, has to knock him out to win this fight?
Well, yes, he's nowhere near Bivol's skill level, so not sure he has the power either. 30 KOs, 44 wins, and he's obtained a lot of KOs in his recent fights. So his KO ratio wasn't looking very, very sexy before that, man. Let's be honest. He's been stepping it up, but being completely honest, he should have knocked all those guys that I mentioned. He should have knocked them all out. So let's go to some comments real quick. Ruben says, I agree, Zurdo opponents have been weak, but I think with Bivol is going to be a nice matchup for the fans. Yeah, and I think one thing that Zurdo has going for him is, in a way, which is crazy because he's 44-0, I think in a way for him is do or die. Because if Bivol wins, he's probably getting the rematch with Canelo, and or he's moving up to Arthur Beterbiev. If Bivol wins, Canelo's going to want Bivol. No one's going to be looking at Zurdo. Beterbiev is going to be looking at Canelo and Bivol, and Zurdo is kind of going to be left out of the picture, especially with no belt. So this is huge for him. I think he has to win. Not sure how he pulls it off, though. Not sure. You're saying he's going to win. How does he do it?
Zurdo.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's going to win, but if he...
No. You said... Do I got to rewind to the podcast in the last couple weeks? You were 100% confident. Yeah, I think you even gave us a percentage. You were very confident that Zurdo was going to win. So let's not flip-flop now. I know I'm making sense, but let's not flip-flop now.
Yeah.
You got to stick with your pick, Chris.
Yeah, I was confident that Zurdo was going to win, but just like many people, in the comment section, I don't like when somebody like over talks about, what's coming after this fight, man. Just focus on this fight at hand. But if Zurdo were to win this fight, he has to make it physical, man. And again, I know Bivol's hardly, he's one of the most defensively sound fighters in the game, but he's Soto's gonna have to make it messy.
He has to fight
He's
on
gonna
the
have to take
inside.
chances.
He's gonna have to push him back, fight on the inside, dig to the body.
And he's gonna have to just dig that body, and of course he's saying that he is that Mexican. He's gonna have to prove it, man. He's gonna have to, call on the ghost of Julio Cesar Chavez and then break him down. In my opinion, anything can happen in boxing.
Anything can happen.
You have that size advantage. Use it. That's the way he's gonna do it. But can he do it against an ultra boxer like Bivol? We'll see.
Hey,
But that's the way to do it.
you were very confident last time. You're a little shaky now. I don't know what happened, but
I went to the press conferences, man. I shouldn't have gone. But it's gonna be a great fight.
Ruben
and again-
agrees. Ruben agrees. It says body attack for Zurdo has to be a big part of the plan.
Yeah. And again, you mentioned a lot of the flaws in Zurdo's game, the speed, not the most sound defense. He's gonna have to take a lot of shots, and he's gonna have to stay disciplined and not get frustrated, because that's the biggest detriment to fighting a boxer like a Bivol, a boxer like a Usyk. You cannot get frustrated, man. You cannot get frustrated, and just keep believing and digging. And hey, Chavez Senior made a career out of it. It's been done before, so we'll see, man. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, shout out to our guy Jess checking in. He says, great fight. Big Bro also says, Zurdo too slow for Bivol. He's slower than Goat Nello. The reach will help him a little to make rounds competitive, but at the end, Bivol will edge all those close rounds, outlanding him with mostly jabs. Yeah, that's how I see it playing out. I think Zurdo, like Ruben says, like you said, like I say, body attack has to be big in this fight for him. Those straight lefts, try to surprise Bivol with those straight lefts. He is fighting a southpaw. Zurdo does have that reach. That has to be his go-to punch, you would think. But at this point of Bivol's career, I would find it very surprising if he's not ready for that.
Yeah. I gotta ask you, what happens to Zurdo if he proves you wrong, proves everybody wrong? What happens to his career if his hand is raised November 5th?
He might get the payday. I would still stay away from Beterbiev, man. These boys better keep calling out his name, or stop calling out his name. Stop playing with that man. Everyone stay away from Beterbiev. Let him get old or older. He's already up there, but let him get older. But yeah, I think from now on, if Zurdo wins, I don't think people will accept the caliber of the last opponents that he's been facing. I think they're going to ask more from him, and more will be Canelo or Beterbiev or someone like that. But yeah, it's going to be big for him and for Oscar De La Hoya, honestly.
Yeah. You went straight for the bag answer. I thought you were going to say something like, man, he's going to be the next Mexican superstar. He's going to take half of Canelo's fan base, the one that hates Canelo. I thought you were going to say something like that, but you're not wrong, man. He's gonna doors are going to open. Everybody's going to know who Zurdo is now. He's going to get the credibility, that we still kind of don't give him.
Yeah, and look, you know what people are going to say? He beat the man Canelo couldn't beat. So they're going to throw more shade at Canelo and more love toward Zurdo Ramirez.
Yeah, man, but that's November 5th. Do we know what time that fight starts for Pacific time here?
I think main event is around 3 or 4 p.m. You guys can look that up, Google it. I read it earlier in the week, but I don't want to say the wrong time. But yeah, I believe the main card begins around noon, 1 p.m. for us here on the West Coast, Pacific time. And yeah, main event should be 4 p.m., which is a nice treat because the LAFC final begins at 1 p.m. So you can watch that game and then change it over to some boxing right after.
Yeah. And final question about this fight, Gio, for me. Do you think the winner of this fight truly wants that boogeyman in Beterbiev next?
I think surprisingly, yes. I think
Yeah.
they do, but you got to be careful what you wish for. If I were them, I'd stay away. But I think
Mm,
they want better BF, man.
yeah. 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 That again, of course, that money bag is there. I know Canelo wants to run it back with Bivol. I know Canelo has said he won't fight Mexicans. Silva, of course, is a Mexican. I think Canelo would have to fight the winner of this fight.
Yeah, he should. He
He's got
should.
chip in his shoulder. He's got chip in his shoulder, and Canelo has alluded, fight each other, and then I'll give you guys a chance. And nobody in and around uh, of the other names that I mentioned before are fighting each other. So I think the winner of this fight does deserve the Canelo sweepstakes, a big payday. But man, we'll see what happens Saturday. Again, it'll be a great fight for us fans.
Yeah,
Like
and
you
I'm
said, go for Joe.
yeah, and I'm glad you didn't mention those other names because we're talking about the big boy leagues right now. This is the big boy leagues. Let's not mention them other dudes who are still fighting those other guys.
Yeah.
This is the big
Hey,
boy league right here.
they're not even fighting a fading Triple G, man. Come on now.
They still don't
Not
want
ready for. They wouldn't know what to do with the paycheck, bro. They
it.
wouldn't even know how to spend that money.
And they
But
hear they hear Triple G and they still have nightmares.
hey, man, but yeah, it's gonna be a great fight. Predictions are in. Let us know who you guys think is gonna come out victorious. But
Bivol
another fight,
unanimous. Bivol unanimous. You're
people
going with
unanimous.
you're going with Zurdo unanimous or what are we doing here? Majority. How confident are you? Knockout, he gets a KO.
I must say this fight is it's closer than what people are thinking, in my opinion. It's closer than what people, I know Beeble's the goods, but I feel like Super's not gonna disappoint, man. He wants to make his boss happy.
Make your prediction, Chris. You're beating around the bush.
Man, the brain says now Beeble by decision.
Oh, come on.
The heart says
Come
Superdo. The heart says
on.
Superdo. I'll be.
Come on, Chris. Take a risk. Zurdo's
I'm
gonna have to take a risk.
Hey, I'm gonna say Superdo's gonna shock. Superdo. Let's go. Let's go,
Ruben
mate.
says Zurdo 11th round TKO.
Hey, okay, Ruben. Ruben is saying it with his chest.
Yeah, he's teaching you how it's done. Percentages though. Percentages. What's it looking like?
I'm gonna say 55-45 for Bivol.
Okay, but you're choosing Zurdo though. You can't do that. Come on,
I'm
man.
saying 55 for 45, but that 45, Surdo's gonna find a way with that 45.
Wow, I've never heard this before, ladies and gentlemen. This guy picked this guy picked the guy with the less percentage as the winner. That's the first time on the AtR podcast. That's a first.
Hey.
Oh man.
Mickey Ward, man. Mickey Ward beat somebody. He's losing every single round. He found a way to the body, and he took him out. So I'm just saying, I'm a realist. I think we was favorite, but I think Silva can find a way.
Man, what a difference 2 weeks make. That's crazy.
Let's go.
But yeah, I'm favoring. I'm saying I'm gonna say Bivol. I'm going to say 60-40. I'll put some respect on Zurdo's name. I don't think he's going to go down that easy, but 60-40. 60-40.
Do you predict any knockdowns in this fight?
I do not.
No. Okay.
I do not.
So it's going to be like Triple G Canelo all over.
If it comes, I think Bivol can surprise him.
No.
I think Bivol can surprise him.
If somebody goes down, I think it's
Flash
Bivol,
knockdown. Flash knockdown. Flash knockdown.
Flash knockdown.
Big Bro says the heart, just because he's Mexican, SMH. I like Bivol more. He's a real one.
Yeah, I respect Bivol. Am I
He just
respected
beat
even
the
more after
number
this
one
fight?
pound for pound fighter in the world, man. Come on.
He was the goods. He was the goods.
People are still not respecting him. That's crazy. All right.
I'll say something. I want to know how friendly Oscar is getting with the Abu Dhabi peeps over there, man. You never know. Never
Man,
know.
will he shake Canelo's hand when he's in the ring?
Is Canelo going?
Oh, that's right. I don't know. I think why not? I don't see why not.
Yeah.
He probably.
Canelo's
I
been a
doubt
menace
he
lately.
goes, but he
Canelo's been a
should.
menace. Hey,
He should.
Canelo's been kicking Grupo Firme. He might just make the trip to Abu Dhabi.
There you
Who
go.
knows?
Nice vacay. Anything on
Nice.
the undercard that we should care about?
Anything? I have not been paying too much attention to the undercard deal, but you can entertain the people while I look that up real quick.
All right. So while Chris looks that up, let's talk about another fight that happened on the zone. I don't have much to say about this one, but there was some action this past weekend. No surprise, right? No surprise. William El Camarón Cepeda dominates Jojo Diaz 119, 109 on two cards, 118, 110 on the other. Jojo sounding very confident in those interviews, Chris, but we kind of knew how this would play out. El Camarón right now is on a good roll. Of course, he stopped Hector Tanajara, probably his biggest win before this one. Very impressive there at the Bank of California, home of LAFC here in Los Angeles. But he's looking very good. And look, with this win, some people better start taking him serious. They better start taking him serious in that division, man. Southpaw, volume puncher, strong puncher. He's a problem.
Yeah. He pretty much swept almost every single round. Camarón Cepeda did. I was a little disappointed in Jojo. I thought he was going to make it more of a fight. Again, it was all Camarón Cepeda. Too much volume, too much in the gas. I almost feel like this guy does conditioning with our boy Andy. He just never stops throwing. He's getting compared. Of course, nobody will ever be the great Julio Cesar Chavez, but he's getting compared based on his body work, his activity, his work rate. Hey, this just makes him much more credible. Jojo Diaz, a former title holder, no slouch. Obviously, not the elite level. He never reached that level, but he was a champion at one time. So it just shows you why, in a sense, Golden Boy doesn't want to match, a Ryan Garcia with a Camarón Cepeda just yet. So yeah, he's definitely.
They shouldn't.
Yeah, he's the good
Stay
man.
away.
He's fan friendly, and that's what people want to see, man. Those type of fights.
Big Bro says Camarón whooped on that boy. Would have liked to see him stop overrated Diaz. Yeah, Diaz, just like Lomachenko, in my opinion, too small for that division. Yeah, he has gained quite a few pounds, but no future, in my opinion, for Diaz at 135. And quite the complete opposite for William El Camarón Cepeda. As you guys see there on the poll, let us know who wins, Bivol and Zurdo. Chris, in the past few weeks was very confident, and Zurdo not so much. And to me, this fight was always interesting since the beginning, since they announced it. I think back then when they announced it, I thought it was closer, but right now I'm saying Bivol. Man, I see Bivol winning 8 rounds, easy. But let us know what you guys think there. I know a lot of you are going to be voting with your hearts, like our boy Chris here. But these results should be interesting. But going back to Camarón, you mentioned Ryan Garcia. I think at some point they're going to feed Jojo Diaz to Ryan. Get Ryan another good win on paper. Another KO win. Golden Boy fighter. I think at some point they will do that. But in the meantime, they better stay away from Camarón, man. That guy's a problem. He's a problem, and he's fun to watch.
Yeah. No, yeah. It was a good crowd. I feel like this card didn't get as much love, as much attention. But yeah, this is Camaro Zubeda, adding another name to his resume. And again, I feel like this kid will break down a lot of your favorite fighters. He just has that style, and he's got a drive. And again, small comparison to Chavez Senior, but nobody likes getting hit to the body. This kid knows it, and he goes to it. I mean, I know it's a smaller weight division, but Surdo guy should have been watching this fight, and that's what you got to do, man. That's what you got to do down to break somebody like Bivol.
Yeah, and we can move on and we can talk about the undercard if there's anything interesting after we mention another fighter who had a big night this past weekend. Of course, Long Beach's own 18-year-old Ashton Silva, Ashton H2O Silva, who improves to 9-0, 9 KOs. Got a first round KO over Romero there, as you see. Romero came out swinging, came out attacking him, and they must have not told him that Ashton is a great counter puncher because he needed two punches to take him down and take him out.
Yeah, it's crazy because I was watching some of our old videos that we have of Ashton's, first fights, and he caught him with that same uppercut that he caught, Jose Juan Tivares. It's just that sneaky, first the left hook followed by that sneaky uppercut. And like you said, his opponent, previous opponent, Ryan Garcia, this guy was trying to shock Ashton Silva. And like you mentioned, Ashton took a step back, boom, boom, nice little side step, and ended it. Even when his opponent got counted out, he still stumbled. It just shows that Ashton carries that power. And man, what a platform to do it on Showtime and getting love from Snoop Dogg, and just this kid's just doing everything right, Joe. I've told you off air, everything he's touching right now is turning into gold. He's doing everything right, saying the right things, doing the right things when the camera's on in that ring. And this kid is going places. And a lot of people at first, didn't like Jake, but hey, you're getting connected with somebody like that that's changing the game. You gotta listen. You may not like it, but you're gonna listen.
Yep. And yeah, big platform, obviously. Showtime pay-per-view did not disappoint. First round KO. And the scary part is Ashton keeps getting better and better, right? So very excited to see what's next. I'm sure a lot of people were exposed to Ashton Silva for the first time, and hopefully everyone continues to follow him and support him because he's a special fighter. Made easy work of an experienced fighter. So congrats to him. Did not disappoint. Looked very good on that Jake Paul, Anderson Silva undercard. And those are the types of fights that we want to see, man. I'm sure a lot of the YouTube community are now asking who is this kid from Long Beach, right? Snoop Dogg was out here sharing his videos, sharing reactions to the win. So yeah, like you said, he's doing things right. His pops is doing things right. Very excited for Ashton. He's only 18 years old, so the sky's the limit for him. And very good showing. Way to put Long Beach on the map and represent for the city.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Joe, just 18 years of age. He's got so much more room to grow and to develop. Of course, he has to stay focused. He's got to stay disciplined. He's got to do what he's been doing up to this point and continue doing it. He could be fighting these names that we're talking about right now in years to come. And again, those guys got to stay on it too. It's a crazy sport that's the boxing is, and you got to just stay disciplined all the way through. But yeah, I think when we first met him, he had 100K followers. Not a bad number, right, for a 16, 17-year-old.
Yep.
Now he's at 500,000.
Yep.
It just shows, those numbers.
There's a lot of blue checks. There's a lot of blue checks writing comments under his post. So, man, they're doing things right over there.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you want to change. I think this is a good segue, Joe. Someone that also has a couple blue checks, maybe a little too many, who made the news was Shakur. Of course, it wasn't, for something good. As we know, there was a murderer killing one of the amigos, unfortunately, was at the end of, gun violence. And Shakur just happened to be right there next to him. I know you shared this on our Against the Ropes page, Gio, but what were your thoughts on that when you heard that he was there, right next to the victim?
Scary. You just never know, right? You never know how things are going to turn out. I know in the articles I read too, they described other people got hit. I think they described someone as a 24-year-old and a 23-year-old. So I'm like, damn, is he okay? That's what my first thoughts were. But yeah, crazy situation. Crazy that he was there. But it's no secret that he hangs out with these celebrities. He was in his own situation after a party or a nightclub or whatever. So there's no secret that he's out there, But yeah, luckily for him and thankfully, seems like he's okay. I think he tweeted since after that incident, so it seems like he's okay. But yeah, scary stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, like I said this and I voiced this before, I think Shakur is one of those generational talents. We had people that always, people that sparred him before saying, no, this guy's the goods, this guy's for real. There's a reason why Top Rank hasn't, up on this pedestal. And I've said it before, the only thing that's going to derail a Shakur Stevenson is outside distractions and who he associates himself with. And this one's I don't know if he sees it as a wake-up call, but this is one of those things where he just needs to be careful again, like you mentioned, who he hangs out with on his off time. Of course, you're gonna be drawn to the light, you're gonna be drawn to the bling, to that, but he's gotta be careful, man. He is a special fighter, and yeah, man. The only thing that can derail him is himself and who he associates himself with.
Yeah, there's no reason for him to be out anywhere at 3 a.m, man. Nothing good happens after 10 p.m. Just stay home, go to bed, get some rest. Especially as a pro athlete. But yeah, I thought you were gonna move on to your boy Jake.
Your boy Jake. All right. Jake.
The hype is dying down. I'm not gonna lie. The hype is dying down for me.
Dying down. Okay.
In the ring. Outside of the ring, I think I continue to hear mention things like healthcare and medical aid for these boxers and taking care of these guys and purses and making sure they get paid. He's saying all the right things. I think is refreshing. It's not something we're used to as boxing fans. You never hear any promoter mention these things. So that part is refreshing. But to me, it is getting a little old, the stuff in the ring, his opponents and all that.
Yeah. He's fighting 7-year-old UFC fighter. I think the only credible thing that Silva has in boxing, in a sense, is that win over Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who we know we don't give the most credit, especially at the tail end of his career.
And he does have a professional record too. He did have some pro fights before that. So Jake can say he beat a professional boxer, but yeah, not sure how much credit he'll get for that.
Yeah. Is at this point, with everything you just mentioned, is Jake Paul still, I don't want to say must-see TV, but do people still buy into that he is a boxer, in your opinion?
If he keeps putting Ashton Silva on the undercard, yes. If not, then no. I'm not interested.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for me, obviously, we know that there was some intent for him to fight a boxer. Things happen. We don't know whether it was Jake or the opponent's fault, but things happen. These boxers didn't come through. He had to settle for Silva. For me, at least, I don't want to divide fan bases, but if you want to pin boxing against MMA, that was a punch, literally from boxing to MMA in a sense. Like it's
MMA keeps taking L's to a YouTube guy. to a YouTube
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
MMA takes
But yeah,
another L.
yeah. But yeah, once again, Jake Paul. I mean, he's probably the most. He's the fighter making the most money in such few fights. So again, people can learn a little bit about that. That's my takeaway. Learning, you got to entertain, man. You got to entertain the fans. You got to say some outlandish stuff. You got to find a way to get that said opponent in the ring with you. You learn from this guy, at least in that sense. I know easier said than done, but hey, I'm not too mad at Jay. I'm impressed with the discipline. I know in the beginning, maybe the first few months, we were not sold on him.
You're taking way too long for Jake Paul. You're taking way too long, man.
We saw the discipline. I'm 50-50 on him right now. We'll see what he does next fight, but I feel like I'm back to square one with him.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, I see more hate now. I see more hate from boxers and stuff like that, from boxing fans. Look, this may sound harsh, but get your weight up. You know, he did that. You know, you think this happens? You think this is an accident? Like, these guys know how to market themselves. How come you don't? You know, don't be mad at him because he could do it. You know, this is not. B says Chris giving Jake Paul's backstory like ESPN. Big Bro says I heard nothing about this fight. I'm glad the hype is down and down. Yeah, but I think as far as him getting paid and all that stuff, people putting people in seats, you can't knock him for that. Like that's a skill. You know, that doesn't happen. It's just not an accident. You know, whether you like it or not, it's not an accident. You know, all these boxers complaining, shit. Why should I watch you? You know, what makes you entertaining? Why should I care that you started boxing at 7? Like, you know, these are questions that they should be asking themselves. Man, I got shit to do. Why would I watch you? You know, there's so many sports out there. There's so many other things I could be doing. You know, at the end of the day, look, if you're entertaining and whether people want to watch you win or watch you lose, keyword watch. You know, people want to watch you. A lot of these boxers are struggling and don't know how to market themselves. Don't be mad at the other man because he knows how. You know, obviously you got to respect the years of hard work and all that, but at the end of the day, that means nothing business wise. You know, you can't step into a meeting and tell someone, look, give me a big check because I've been working all these years. You know, what they want to see is arenas filled, pay-per-view sold. Can you entertain us? You know, so I think the anger is directed, you know, at the wrong person in the wrong direction.
Yeah, man, well said. Well, we'll see what happens. For me, I like to see him with I don't want to say a Canelo-esque type of fighter, but you know, just a regular boxer. Let's see what you can do with a regular boxer. You know, it doesn't have to be super highly ranked, but just a boxer, and you'll get some credibility. But yeah, man, for me that's it. Again, I think Ashton's stock rose. Camarón Cepeda stock rose. Loma impressed me against a bigger opponent, a young, hungry, you know, with upset in his mind in Jermaine Ortiz, but Loma still has just enough. And again, I think what makes him intriguing is what you said, Gio, that he's up in these weight divisions that are not his natural, and that makes him, you know, susceptible to defeat. So yeah, man, we'll see what happens. Again, Loma is like he's up in those divisions because he feels like he comfortably dominates 126, 130. But yeah, man, we'll see what happens next.
Yeah, and that's that. Chris, has your prediction changed at all in the past 20 minutes?
And I'm gonna be. I think
a lot of doubts in your mind right now.
I'm like Claudia Trejos, bro. I don't know if you noticed that clip where Paulie Malignaggi called her out. I feel like I'm in the same boat with her. We know Bivol's the goods, but we're just hoping for, you know, maybe a little upset in Silva. I mean, again, I've been the type to say I wouldn't be mad if I'm wrong, but I'm gonna say Silva, man. Silva with the upset. I'm gonna say Silva with the upset. Let's go.
There you go.
Let's go.
Rocking with Bivol. Very good fight, though. This is one I agree with Ruben from his comment earlier. This is one of the ones that we're looking forward to this year. These are the type of fights that we want to see, especially guys like Zurdo, who I feel has still a bit untested. Very good fighter, but untested. These are the fights we want to see. And thankfully, these are the fights we're getting. So, big ups to Bivol, because I know they mandated this, but he could have been like, man, I'm waiting for Canelo. I'm waiting for the payday. But this guy wanted to take on the challenge, and interesting venue, Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. I'm sure they they presented a big bag to these guys, and the fight is over there. So should be some good boxing.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if Zurdo wins, man, from a couple months being in the back of a pickup in a cop car to top of the world, man, that'd be something, man. That'd be something. So
Zurdo, he got arrested. Who'd you say?
Did you not? He got arrested like a month and a half ago, 2 months. I think in Mazatlan.
You sure that wasn't Chavez Jr.?
It could be any one of those two, man, at this point. But Abu Dhabi, man, Abu Dhabi. Let's see what happens.
Zurdo versus Chavez Jr. should have happened. That would have been a good fight.
Wait, who again?
Zurdo versus Chavez Jr.
Yeah. Man, I would have loved to have seen Chavez Jr. versus Triple G, man, when they were talking about it. That would have been a nice style matchup. But we can't have it on the boxing.
Chris trying to be bold like Tecate all of a sudden. It's his big bro.
Man, I don't even drink Tecate, Papa. Come on now.
Maybe a little extra like Corona. Who knows? All right, well, I think this is a good time to get out of here. A few of you voted on the poll. 75% Bivol, 25 Zurdo. I hope I didn't influence you guys' pick too much. Because look, I did think, like I said initially, this was going to be an even fight. As time went on, I'm like, no, I think Bivol is going to get him, and I don't think he's going to struggle. But big ups to Zurdo. I think he's a good fighter, but we'll see. Chris is shaped like a Tecate can. Oh my God. Let's get out of here before Chris starts getting hit against the ropes here.
Let's go, man.
All right, mates.
Take a knee.
All right, mates. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure you follow us at Against the Ropes, Against DA-Ropes on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. And make sure to subscribe, like I said, to the channel. Make sure to like the videos and all that stuff. And check out that community tab. I tend to post a lot of stuff on there, polls. I'll post one for this fight as well. And polls and pictures and other updates and stuff like that. So, yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hope you guys enjoy the fights this weekend. And shout out to Ruben, keeping the chat lit. Big Bro B. Shout out to all you guys, and we'll be back soon. Maybe Chris looks like a genius next week for half picking Zurdo. You never know. I gave you the chance, Chris.
Not biting. Vámonos, papá. Puro loma.
Ain't no
Puro loma, papá.
Ain't no such thing as halfway crooks, man. We'll see. We'll see. Let's go, mates. Shout out to Abu Dhabi. Shout out to the cops in Mexico, too. Shout out to y'all. Keeping the community safe. Let's go. Let's go, mates.
Michael, you already know I'm a fun guy.
Hola amigos, soy Juan Francisco Gallo. Quiero mandar un saludo para mis amigos de Contra las Cuerdas. Échenle muchas ganas, un abrazo, muchas bendiciones.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. You know what mine is? Let's box, bitches. It's almost fight night.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. Thank you for the support. Keep doing your thing. You're doing a great job. So thank you and best wishes.
Huge shout out to Against the Ropes.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. Thank you guys.